The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and are not those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. The phone lines are open. Call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788. That's 220-WSTU. It's time for Stuart Laser Talk with your host, Dr. Tred J. Rizacker.
I'm 5'10" and 242 pounds.
I always say this is the biggest I'm ever going to be, and I said that like 20 pounds ago.
A third of Americans are obese, another third is overweight.
Obesity is the biggest threat to the health, welfare, and future of this country.
I've always been overweight.
I've got diabetes.
Sleep apnea, heart disease.
Everything's hurting now.
It's a lot easier to lose weight than it is to keep weight off.
This is probably going to be the first generation of children who are going to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents.
18% of our children right now are obese.
It's not only health, it's about survival and well-being of the United States as a nation.
You don't crave broccoli, and our generation has grown up craving a Big Mac.
I want to think that there's something better for me.
Unless we're able to control this epidemic, we're going to have an abundance of chronic disease.
All of us have to be part of the solution to reduce obesity.
The weight of the nation is out of control, but we can fix that.
If we don't now take this as a really urgent national priority, we are all going to pay a really serious price.
Obesity will crush the United States in oblivion.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Tred Rizacker, and I am a doctor of chiropractic, and I am here to share a message of healing and hope and wellness with you for the next hour. We're going to go over the number one cause of why most people are sick and losing years off the end of their lifespan, and low energy, and vulnerability to heart disease and stroke and cancer. And no, it's not living in a third world country that does this. It's actually it's a side effect of obesity, of carrying too much body weight around for too long. We're all allowed to have a little bit of fat for a short amount of time, but if you carry it on and on and on and on, it makes you sicker and sicker and sicker. And that's a strong message to. I'm just going to keep hammering that into everybody, that if your body fat is too high and you're 80% likely. There's 8 out of 10 of you are listening are already overweight, and 4 out of 10 that are listening, if you're female, are really morbidly obese. You need to pay attention to this, because weight and fat is inflammatory. It's dangerous to your health. It taxes all of your systems. It puts stress on all of your joints. It affects your energy levels. It affects your sleep, your digestion. Your body becomes hyper-inflammatory. Carrying around the extra fat. And it isn't about how you look. It really isn't, although we want to be healthy, and look healthy. So, I've dedicated my practice and my life to helping people easily get rid of body fat, stubborn fat. And it's called the Slim Body Laser Spa. I'm located on East Ocean Boulevard, right across from the Fresh Market, at the intersection of Monterey Road and East Ocean Boulevard. We have consultations available. Give us a call. Right now, they're free. We might be changing that coming up here in September. We might start charging for the consultations, just so we can make sure that people are a little serious about their commitment when they say they want to come in. I'm doing it now for close to 12 years. And I've never, ever seen anything that works as well and can get results as fast as using these low-level laser lipo machines. They're new. The technology is only about 12 years old, actually. In 2006 is when it was discovered, and then the FDA approved it, and then people started using the machines, as I have one today. Actually, I have 5 of them because I believe in the technology. It really works. And I'm going to explain a little bit about that technology today and what you can expect at the laser spa for the first 10 minutes or so. And then I'm going to go into one of the most pressing issues that we have today, and that is something called a fatty liver. Has anyone ever told you at the office or when you went into a medical exam that you have a fatty liver? Well, I did a little research on fatty liver and tried to understand exactly what it is and how it impacts your health. And I can tell you right now, if you're listening to this show and you're over 50 years old, half of you, 50% of you, will have a fatty liver. I mean, you have it right now. And it used to only strike alcoholics that were chronic alcoholics. I mean, live in the Bowery, sleeping on the street kind of alcoholism would actually develop fatty liver. Today, it's happening just from being overweight. And fatty liver affects everything in your life. It's reversible if you clean up your diet and exercise. So I'm going to go over that today, and you need to understand. So if you know anyone that's been diagnosed with it, or you might want to have them tune in on the show, or have them listen to the repeat on online, or the show is repeated on the WSTU website about 2 hours after I leave. They post it. It'll also be on Facebook Live, and you can see it there about the fatty liver disease. All right. I'm also going to go over the questions you should ask if you're thinking of having a body sculpting procedure, a spot fat reduction, just get rid of it, freeze it, burn it, cut it off. I'm so sick of how I look or this area that I want to find some outside help. Well, there's questions you should ask before you walk into a spa or an office, or when you go in for the consultation and you meet with the staff, or you meet with the salesperson, or you're recommended all of these different procedures, which can be very expensive. And don't assume because it's an office and they advertise on the internet that they're licensed or they're able to do what they're saying. There's very little police department out there that stops these kind of fraudulent websites and these businesses from doing this. And it's really a buyer beware, and even more so today, because on the internet, everything looks so darn great. The testimonials, the website, the keywords that come up. It seems like it's a very legit situation, but when you go in there, there's like 10 questions you must ask the office, the provider, and they're basically basic things that you wouldn't know to ask if you weren't a doctor like me, who's been in the business for 33 years. These are what I see as problems in offices, and they're simple questions that you can ask ahead of time. And I would definitely do it with your cool sculpting procedure, with the sculpture, with any of these, any device which has energy, which is promising to remove fat or to decrease the size of your stomach girth with a machine. You need to ask these 10 questions, okay? And I'll go over that today also. And at the same time, I'm going to explain a little bit about how your hormones, your naturally occurring sex hormones, in female it's estrogen and progesterone, and in men it's testosterone, how these hormones, when you have the normal amounts, you can maintain a very lean muscular figure very easily with just eating less and exercising when your hormones are in the proper amounts. But as we get older, or due to stress or poisoning, actually food, improper foods, our hormones can basically take a crap. They can just severely drop down, your sex hormones. And it's from stress, lots of cortisol and adrenaline that's produced when we're under fear and anxiety. We rob ourselves of our happy hormones. And then what happens is the balance starts to change. The ratio of progesterone and estrogen in a female, or estrogen and testosterone in a male, start to change. And we become something called estrogen dominance. And estrogen dominance is a term coined by Dr. John Lee. He's a medical doctor from Virginia Hopkins. And these are the reasons why people go for anti-aging. So these hormone replacements and these hyperbaric oxygen chambers and the cryotherapy you're seeing and the injectables in the face and the eyes, these are combating something called estrogen dominance, and it happens in men and women. And I'm going to explain that today. All right. With that, let's get started without any further ado. So my office is it's about 2,500 square feet. We have 3 laser lipo rooms that are private. We have a consultation area. We have a front desk, a waiting area, and a whole body vibration room. And we have an area set up for pictures, for photos. I guess it was in 2009, I went to a seminar in West Palm Beach at the North American Low-Level Laser Conference, the NALT conference. And at the end of the seminar, they had a workshop that you could attend from 5 to 6. And it said lose 3 to 9 inches of stubborn fat while you lie on your back and listen to music. No diet, no exercise needed. Now, I'm a doctor, and a lot of us were doctors, and it sounded like something that would not be truthful because you really cannot burn fat if you don't exercise and eat less. That's the law. But what they said is they didn't said you would burn fat in that time frame. It said you could lose inches. And losing inches and burning the fat are 2 different stories. But obviously, if you're going to lose inches and burn fat, you will lose inches over time. But the day you do it, it's not really what happens. So I'm going to try to explain that a little bit so you understand what these machines can do and why my Slim Body Laser Spa is able to be so effective, because we're literally able to handle the spot fat reduction, such as something you might do with liposuction or a tummy tuck. And at the same time, for those who need to eat better nutrition because they're actually carrying too much weight around, we have a program for that too. And those 2 combined together are very powerful and much needed, instead of just having one, like just going for the body sculpting without any care at all as to how much you eat, which is what created the problem. And maybe you went to the place that helps you with nutrition, and as you start to go through the process, your outer fat doesn't change anymore. You can't change the outer blubber, the outer fat, like you could when you were younger. And that has to do with the hormones. At the Slim Body Laser Spa, I figured this out about 6 years ago. Been doing it 11 years. First 3 years, hardly did any diet planning at all for people. Very little nutrition. We were very selective as to who we selected to come in for the sculpting. They had to be of a certain body percentage, and that would be people that were fairly fit. And that was great. There's a lot of people out there that will do that. Well, that's what these procedures are really designed for. I just want you to know these non-invasive, non-surgical procedures, the fat freezing, the fat burning with the sculpture and the safe sculpt and the lipo ultrasound and the radio frequency, the Vela machine, the Alexis, these products all target just the outer fat, not the deep visceral fat. So they diet and exercise, they don't need that to work. But if you're overweight, it's a problem. So a lot of people that come in for body sculpting and go into these businesses and they get recommended the procedures are typically overweight. They're beyond what that machine can really accomplish. They're right at the fringe. Some are great candidates, such as a 32-year-old female that's 115 or 120 pounds, who exercises, whose body fat percentage is under 20% to 25, which is just at the border of being overweight. Those people can get pretty good results from some of those processes. But once you cross over into the overweight zone, over 25% body fat, or you're starting to get older with looser skin, or you're, God forbid, obese, those procedures are not able, they can't solve the whole problem. And so you'll drop $3, $4, $10,000 on maybe a round of cool sculpting at 6, 7 different areas, and you go back for the second time after 2 to 3 months, and I mean, you can drop $7, $8, $10,000 there. Yet, because you had too much body fat when you came in, the results were minimally effective, and a year or two later, the fat comes back because you haven't really handled the eating issue. I like to say the 3-inch opening in the front of your face where all the calories come in. Let's put a screen there, and you'll understand what I mean. And so as I started to apply the low level lazy, now what my process does is it doesn't damage the tissue. Everybody, your fat cells, you're given a certain amount of fat cells at puberty. As you're born and as you reach puberty, you have about as many fat cells as you need. Now, fat cells never, ever go away. They never die off and are replaced. Fat cells are with you for the eternity of your life. Okay. They either absorb calories, you either pack them full of fat, or you drain them by utilizing the fat that they stored for you. They're like little food containers. They're like Tupperwares in your kitchen that are filled with food. And if you don't use them, they're going to stay full of food till you die. And they're not going to be very pretty. However, when you're hungry and you can go to one of those Tupperwares and open them up, you can get the calories and eat them. And that's really what fat cells do. They hold calories for us. And since it's hard for people to realize that over a certain amount of time that the weight creeps on very slowly, but very consistently. And after 1 to 3 years of this little weight creep, we can become quite obese. And here's my example to you. Suppose you only gained a pound a month. Suppose your weight has been good, and every month you put on at least, your scale goes up 1 pound. Now, sometimes it might go up 7 pounds. It might go down 5 because of bowel movements and urinating, and fluid intake. That really is what changes the scale very quickly when you lose inches lose weight or stuff. It's usually water or eating change habits, cutting out salt. But if you're to consistently gain 1 pound a month, and to do that for 12 months, that would make you 12 pounds that you accumulated as stubborn fat. And what if you did that for another year, just 1 pound a month? For the second year, now you've got 24 pounds. Do that for a third year, and now you're up to 36 pounds overweight, which is where I was when I decided to lose the weight, and I ended up with diabetes as a result of that weight I was carrying. That's only 1 pound of fat put on every month. So when you look at weight loss and somebody comes into a business like mine or one of these weight loss clinics, and they tell you, listen, our program is for sustainability, and we want to keep the fat off and keep it off permanently. So we're going to restrict you to just losing 1 pound each month that you're here with us. You'd be like, I am out of here. I want to lose 20 pounds. I've got a dinner to go to. I've got a wedding to attend in a month, and I can't fit into the dress. I don't want to embarrass my daughter, and I want to lose. Yet it's not really natural for the body to lose the fat that fast. It's very unnatural and abnormal for the body to drop that kind of fat because of the fact that the mechanism which balances your weight and your energy and your metabolism, your internal mechanism, is very, very stable. It's not going to change that much that quickly. And there's reasons for that. So the first thing to understand about changing your body composition, if you feel you have too much body fat, or you want to increase your muscle tone to be more tone, which is great, or you just want to understand how to eat to live instead of living to eat, when you're eating too much, is we need to know what your individual burn rate is. You know, we're machines. We go through life, we eat food for energy, and then we work. We produce energy as we work. So we burn off that energy that we ate the day before. Okay. And that amount of calories that you need to sustain your energy based on your age, how old you are, how tall you are, your gender, men and women have different ways they burn energy, and also your overall body fat percentage, calculates a number which gives us your resting caloric intake. So this is foundational principle number 1. This is step 1 on any weight loss program, body sculpting situation. You need to understand your max intake so you don't go over it and create fat faster than the procedure gets it off. Remember, these non-invasive procedures are very gentle and they're predictable, but they're not instantaneous. It isn't like having a bunch of fat cut off from surgery. It's a series of taking down the fatty layer in a series of treatments over time. At least my procedure works that way. So we need to understand that your eating means everything. If you're overeating and you're putting on more calories and you're burning and you're storing fat, and these procedures are taking the fat off very slowly, it's not going to work well for you. So your body impedance analysis is a machine which many doctors have. They have them at the gyms. This is the one that you grab on with your hand, and then you wait a second and it gives you your heart rate and your body fat percentage. You know, that's kind of like a one that's used at home and for private use. They're not very accurate because it's only checking the body fat around your chest. In order to be accurate on body fat analysis, you need to pass the current through the whole body. So our machine involves pads that are put on your feet and on your hands. And when that current is passed from your feet up to the head, out through the hand, you've covered a lot more of the body, and it gives you a much more accurate body fat percentage. And from the body fat percentage, the machine calculates how many calories you burn at rest. And resting caloric intake is, by definition, the amount of calories that your body must consume to stay alive. That's it, just to stay alive. So that would be if you were to lay on a couch for 24 hours, not eat any food, and not exercise, you're burning calories. Your body is alive, so it's taking energy from inside and creating the energy. And that number of calories is your fixed maximum intake if you want to stay the same. Right? If you don't change your max caloric intake, nothing's going to change for you. So most people don't even really know that when they go to these weight loss centers and they're recommended auto ship food like Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers or Nutrisystem, and now they're selling this food. They're not really taking into account teaching you about your max caloric intake. They're just giving you a random figure, which is under your caloric intake, but they haven't explained to you what it is. And I think that's so you don't, because if you knew it, you'd go to the store and buy the food yourself. So they keep you, they don't tell you that. So my resting caloric intake when I did my weight loss program was 2,400 calories. That's 2,400 calories is what my minimal intake, what my max intake is. For me to be successful at losing weight, I had to eat 2,000 calories a day. So that's really important. So that's the first step with Weight Loss 101, and also how to get the best result from any of these non-invasive body sculpting procedures is you just don't want to overeat. Now, there's another thing that happens. It's a phenomena that when you eat too little, your resting caloric intake is 2,400 calories, and you say to yourself, I'm going to eat 1,200 calories because I want to lose weight fast. Well, let me tell you, your body is very intelligent, and it creates a hormonal wall, a wall of nothing's going to change for you. We're going to be really stubborn in our body fat percentage because you're starting to not eat enough. And when you stop eating enough food, like get into these low calorie situations, your body thinks it's going into the winter. Winter's coming. Okay. And winter means no food, and your body will resist burning fat, is what happens. The fat becomes hormonally almost separated from your natural body's ability to burn fat. So you'll really will be more likely craving carbohydrate, which is sugary products, white products, flour products, all those food you love to eat. When you stop eating, because the body wants you to make fat really fast because you stopped eating and it's like you ran out of food. In other words, your ancestors didn't stop eating because they thought maybe they were getting too fat. 10,000 years ago, they found a bunch of trees that were ripe with mangoes. They ate them all. They never stopped. They didn't leave the tree and figured they'll find another one on the way. They were either chased away or they fell asleep. And so we're eating machines. And as long as we're eating, our body fat levels stay fairly normal. We just make fat. But when we stop eating, we start to protect the fat. And that's why so many of you out there that miss meals and miss breakfasts and aren't consistent with your calories, your body is starting to build a resistance to actually losing weight. And good luck trying to change that scale when that happens. That's the frustration you see again and again. So, number one, get a BIA test. You got to know your resting caloric intake and your body fat percentage. And this will tell you how hard you have to work and what you need to do to really make changes. Is this something you can do in 4 weeks? Or is it something that's going to take, 6 months or a year? I wish on all of you a nice, slow weight loss. I hope you get a nice, slow, consistent weight loss that might take, no more than 5 pounds a month. Maybe 10 that first month because of the water, and some people lose 15 or 20 because of the water release. But after that first month, it should not be more than 5 pounds or so a month. And that should be nice and slow until you get to the weight that you want to be. That's sustainable. And it takes longer. So they complain about that. All right. So that's the first thing to understand. Now, I want to go over the list. So if you're interested in a free consultation, you want to get your body fat checked, give me a call, 772-223-5885. My name is Dr. Tred Rissacker. That's T-R-E-D, like Fred with a T. And you can go online. You can click the contact. Let my staff know you'd like a consultation. I'll come in. I'll meet with you. And we can check out your body fat percentage, and we can talk and see if we can help you. All right. So these are the top 10 questions to ask before choosing any laser lipo or cool sculpting procedure, or any of these procedures where they're actually going to put a machine on your skin or with a gel and apply energy into your body. You want to ask these 10 questions. Okay. So here's my first one. Am I a good candidate? I mean, realistically, will your machine handle my problem? And will I need other things? And that's the first question you got to ask. Now, obviously, they have some skin in the game, and most people will say you're a good candidate. So you have to get in and do a little more research as to what that machine actually does and what it's FDA cleared for and what the results are. When you go to the cool sculpting procedure, their literature states anybody over 25% body fat is not a good candidate for cool sculpting. And since 80% of our population is over 25% body weight, I would tell you that there's a lot of people that go into cool sculpting that are not great candidates for it. It doesn't mean that they don't get some result, but it's for the money they're spending. You want to have like incredible results, not a minimal result. So am I a good candidate? All these non-invasive centers, including our spa, are for profit. And this can create a situation where profits become the priority, placed ahead of the results that are being promised. It has been my experience, after talking to hundreds of unhappy customers from other centers, there are a few things you should ask and know about. So the first one is, am I a good candidate? Number two is, you want to see lots of before and after pictures. And they should be signed testimonials from actual clients in their own handwriting. It shouldn't be something off of Google or off of a sheet of paper, which is printed on their website, because they can falsify that. You want handwritten pictures signed by the client, filled out by the client, that are obviously the truth. First and last name, not Mrs. A or Tom B or these things. Those are rarely are they truthful. Okay. In my office, 450 signed 8x10 testimonials cover every wall, and they're actual, they're certified. So very few places have those kind of pictures. If they do, the pictures they show you are months after the procedure. They're not clinical pictures. They're done later on. They had other things done. So you just be aware of that. You want to see lots of before and after pictures and testimonials. Now, if you do a video testimonial, you want to make sure that they're non-scripted and they show the actual background of the office and have a follow-up phone number provided to verify the authenticity. A lot of these video testimonials, they can make them in studios and they can buy them. And you want to see the background of the office in your video testimonial so you know that they're truthful. Okay? Another one, here's another list. A list of clients who have given permission to be contacted via email or phone to confirm their results. In other words, give me at least 3 people that I can call that are patients, clients of yours that have given permission and will tell me that, what their experience was. I have a list of that. A lot of places will not do that. You'll find out real quick. What? You want to ask by a list? Well, that's HIPAA privacy. No, people want to help and they do it because they want to help. Here's another one. And very few places do this. A money back guarantee in writing. Ask the provider or the staff, will you put it in writing what you're telling me that you can do for me? If you're saying I can get 6 inches off or I can get rid of my love handles, will you put it in writing and what's the guarantee that a certain result will be obtained? Because remember, you are prepaying for these procedures. You're paying up front. So for that reason, it's real hard to get that money back if you're unhappy, unless you use a credit card. And that's my next thing. Okay. If you're concerned about the results and you want to have an out, a way of arguing your point, if it doesn't work for you, a credit card allows you to do that. American Express or the Care Credit process has a wonderfully effective client dispute process. So if you feel that the paperwork wasn't clear on what you were promised, that there was promises made that couldn't be filled, that there was a problem with service, a credit card dispute is an easy way to handle that. So if you use a credit card, you protect yourself a little bit more. Okay. Get the entire program in writing in an itemized list. In other words, have whatever it is they're telling you and the things that they want to apply and the results, it should be written down in a list, itemized. Very few places will do that. They have one fee. I just had a client who had been charged $8,000 upfront with a prepay for some functional medicine. It included some blood work. It included a red light device. It included some treatments. She left after 5 sessions and she can't get her money back because the contract she signed was for the whole amount, not itemized. And she has a case there, but it's just, you want it itemized ahead of time because otherwise you don't know what you're paying for. And so also about privacy practices, are they HIPAA compliant? They have releases that are being signed so they protect your private information. That's very important. And also, are you going to be part of future email solicitations or texting, or do they sell your information to other providers? You want to ask that question. Here's another one is the machine that you want to use, you want to find out if it's FDA cleared. You want to make sure that all medical procedures, medical machines that have a potential of harming you, such as these lasers and cold devices, all have FDA clearances. So if you've got a machine and it doesn't have an FDA clearance, you can ask. You need to go somewhere else because the machines will look very similar, but they're not cleared because they buy them overseas. They save a lot of money doing that. And yet, unless you ask the question, they're not going to tell you that. So is your machine FDA cleared? Many places are overcharging for services compared to their costs to supply the equipment and the supervision. You know, if you walk into a Water's Edge, it's not a bad place, but they got some high overhead. Let's be upfront. Beautiful buildings, top of the notch physicians, ARNPAs. The chances are their fees are going to be pretty high, and justifiably. They have a lot of costs. They have the right insurance. They have the right coverage. They have they have a reputation, so they charge a lot more. When you walk into a spa or an esthetician's office, or somebody that's doing has a little fat place, you know, and they're charging $3,000 and $4,000 for a procedure like Water's Edge, you need to look at that, because they don't have the same expenses and they don't have the same insurance and the same protective measures. Why are they charging so much? That should be a key right there that something's wrong. All right. And let's see, we got a couple more here since I know it's important. Number 4, machines are bought online. Well, we're not going to go there. So the clinic or office you're looking at is not owned by a doctor licensed in the state where they're practicing. So, it doesn't mean that all offices that do body sculpting have to be physician owned, but if they are physician owned by a medical doctor or a chiropractor or a DO, your chances are that they have a much higher reputation because of the laws involved with medical offices. So it's very important to know that the clinic is owned by a doctor, in my opinion, but then I'm a doctor. So, and you also want to know about something called informed consent. You want to know about the risks, the bad outcomes, and what happens if I fail to get results as advertised. How many times have you provided this procedure? What's your experience with the machine? The person that's applying it, what certification or license do they have, or do they need one? I would ask that. And how long they've worked there. Have they done it themselves or anyone in their family? Common sense. You want to find out how much they use it. It's called informed consent, and that has to be written down. Many providers will tell you you're a great candidate for their procedure, even if you are not. You must ask and probe why they feel you're a good candidate and who would not be a good candidate. If you do not ask these questions, you'll get little information or explanation about risks or side effects, except for the obvious worst case scenario. So I have this list. If you want to be sent to you, or I can send you in a PDF so you can walk in and go in there with some good hardline questions, and the provider is going to look at you and say, well, we better be good to this person because they're asking the right questions. All right. So that's my 10 list to ask any non-sculpting body procedure business to make sure you're not going to get ripped off. All right. So I went over the body fat analysis, the BIA. Oh, I can't pick that up. I went over the body fat analysis. I went over the importance that number is really your set point when you want to target your diet and intake. And if you're going to any of these body sculpting places, these procedures, you want to make sure that you know this information, because if you don't know, you're not going to get the best results. So I talked about something called a fatty liver. Okay. This is not a joke, everybody. Okay. Your liver is probably the most resilient organ in your body. It can bounce back from injury. You can cut away 3/4 of your liver, lose it in an injury, and the liver will grow back much of that was grown away. It repairs itself. It regenerates itself. And it also, when it becomes sick over time, it is a serious, serious health problem because of the amount of chemical reactions that your liver creates. No lab in the world could ever duplicate all the things that your liver does for your health. The hormones, the enzymes, the digestion, the breaking down of fats, the production of insulin, the storage of glycogen and stored energy. Your liver is the detoxifier that when you drink something full of chemicals because you like the way it tastes, your body has to get rid of those chemicals, and it does it. The liver does that. The liver is a detoxifying organ, as are the kidneys. Now, what happens is when you eat too much food that contains too much fat and you're starting to become, fat, overweight with body fat, your body percentage is going up. Your body fat percentage is what this means. This doesn't mean you look fat or you're obese. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the ratio. Healthy fat to protein is 20% fat, 80% lean muscle. That's where you want to be, people. 20% fat, 80% lean muscle. When your body fat starts to go up to 25 and 30%, that means your muscle has dropped to 70%. Now fat is starting to replace muscle in your body. In other words, where you had muscle once, now there's fat there. So fat invades your entire body, not just your belly, not just the front of your legs. It's internal. And what happens is the liver starts to become fattened. That extra fat going through the liver all the time, through the food you're eating, causes the liver to become fatty. And it is a pretty serious condition. They used to only see fatty liver on chronic alcoholics because alcoholism creates fat, causes the triglycerides to raise up in your bloodstream, and it causes a fatty liver. And it's the number one source of cirrhosis and liver damage and liver depth from alcoholics. So that's the only time they used to see fatty liver. So it was rare. Today, 50% of people that are overweight and obese have fatty liver disease, as dangerous as the alcoholic that had it. And we don't even know it. So it's a reversible condition where large pieces of triglyceride fat accumulate in your liver by the process of what they call steatosis. And steatosis is the abnormal retention of lipids within a cell. So the cells of the liver are abnormally becoming fat instead of their job, which is to detoxify. And when they become fat, it becomes very, very dangerous because the liver, despite having multiple causes, fatty liver worldwide in those with excessive alcohol, obese, with or without insulin resistance. Fatty liver is also associated with other diseases that influence fat metabolism. So when this process of fat metabolism is disrupted, the fat accumulates in the liver in excessive amounts, resulting in a fatty liver. So the accumulation of fat in an alcoholic or non-alcoholic may also be accompanied by progressive inflammation of the liver called hepatitis. This more severe condition may be termed either alcoholic steatohepatitis or non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. So you don't want to have hepatitis, people. And the extra weight that you're carrying around that you say you're going to handle and get off is creating liver problems, and over time can create hepatitis. And you don't want to have hepatitis, trust me. Fatty liver develops into a fibrotic liver and can even lead to liver cancer. For people affected by non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is what they call it, NAFLD, the 10-year survival rate's about 80%. The rate of progression of fibrosis in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is estimated to be 1 per 7 years. And with NAFLD, it's an increasing speed. So there's a strong relationship between hepatitis, pathologies, and metabolic illness, such as diabetes type 2 and metabolic syndrome. These pathologies can also affect non-obese people who are then at a high. So, what are the causes of fatty liver disease? It's commonly associated with metabolic syndrome. Now, metabolic syndrome is when you have high blood pressure, you have high blood sugar, you have a waist that's bigger than 40 inches if you're a male, 35 if you're a female, or your cholesterol is elevated, triglycerides, or you're overweight. When you have one or more of those five, you have metabolic syndrome. And it's, it's very difficult to reverse it. So fatty liver is commonly associated with metabolic syndrome, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and dyslipidemia. but it can also be due to one of many causes. It can be due to nutritional. It can come from drugs and toxins. Alcoholism can cause it. Okay. And it normally, how do you know you have fatty liver disease? All right, that's going to be the next question. For one thing, if you're morbidly obese, if you're over 30%, if you have a history of alcohol and things like that, not eating, taking care of yourself, the chances are you have fatty liver just from your history. However, the only way to really know if you have fatty liver is to get a CT scan. So they look for elevated liver enzymes in the blood work, and then they do imaging studies to show that the fatty infiltrate has infected and has affected your liver. So it's something that they can see on an MRI. And most individuals with fatty liver disease are asymptomatic, and they're usually discovered that they have fatty liver disease by an abnormal liver function test or an enlarged liver. So when you feel your rib cage, and you feel right at the bottom of your rib cage, if you take a deep breath and you feel the edge of your liver, that's not good. So, you can palpate it. You can feel it. So imaging studies are often obtained during the evaluation process. Sonography, ultrasound reveals a bright liver with increased echogenicity. Medical imaging can help. Fatty livers have lower density on CT, and fat appears bright white in T1 magnetic resonance imaging. So that's really the best way to handle it is with imaging, find out if you have it. Now, here's the treatment for fatty liver disease. Well, I think it's pretty obvious. Lose fat, exercise, eat better, and it will go away over time, hopefully. The treatment of fatty liver depends on its cause, and in general, treating the underlying cause will reverse the process of steatosis. So if you're eating too much fat and you're not exercising and you're making a fatty liver, by exercising more, eating better food, your fatty liver will start to reverse. However, two known causes of fatty disease are an excessive consumption of alcohol and prolonged high proportion of calories coming from carbohydrates. Let me repeat that. The two known causes of fatty liver disease is an excess consumption of booze and a prolonged diet with a high proportion of calories coming from carbohydrates. So you know what your carbohydrates are, your white products, your sugar, your flour, your breads. If you're getting up in the morning and having a bagel every single morning, that's a high carbohydrate product. You want to start your day with proteins. Weight loss and combination of diet and exercise was shown to improve or even resolve the fatty liver disease. In more serious cases, medications that decrease insulin resistance, such as metformin and glipizide, and those that induce weight loss, such as bariatric surgery, have been shown to improve or resolve liver function. All right, so the prevalence of fatty liver disease in the general population is from 10 to 24% in various countries. However, it's observed in up to 80% of obese people. 80% of obese people have fatty liver disease and they don't even know it. Okay, and obese, 30% of fat or higher, you know where you are. It's 40% of our population. 35% progress to the full-on steatic liver disease and can happen in 20% of normal weight people. Something to know about. I'm going to hold it right up here at the camera. Fatty liver disease. If you want more information about fatty liver disease, I can send you that too. You just go on our website, slimbodylaserspa.com, click the contact and say you'd like to know a little bit more, some paperwork that the doctor was talking about fatty liver disease. Hey, your liver's important. Don't make it fat. All right. So I'm open for consultation all this week, going into the wonderful week of, what are we going into? September, huh? Wow. It's my sister's birthday. All of my family have birthdays from September to November. We all did it. I guess that's what my mom and dad were bored in the winter. 9 months later, had a bunch of kids. So that's great. We have the best possible process with the Lipo laser. We have a $49 discovery day. Come in, check it out. $49. You can try it one time. and see if it's something that you would benefit from, or you can use that coupon for a huge savings, extra visits. You know, we encourage people to do the plan, and that coupon is something you can utilize to get a discount if you come in and choose to do that. So far, we're going on our 11th year, and February is going to be our 11th year, and we've taken care of over 5,000 people. We're here to help you. My phone number is 772-223-5885. My name is Dr. Tred Rissacker, and we are from the Slim Body Laser Spa. That's on East Ocean Boulevard, right across from the Fresh Market. You can walk in, you can schedule a consult, you can call, you can go online. We're just there to help you, and we don't want you to suffer with a fatty liver disease, all right? I want to say thanks for tuning in, everybody who's been watching. We'll see you soon.